The focus of this video will be the one, the only,
Thaddeus Gammelthorpe,
aka Curly. Curly was a rather odd student at PS 118, but before I start, let's take a look at Curly's signature look. Curly had straight black hair and a bowl cut hairstyle. He wore a pair of round, bright red glasses, a light green and orange shirt, brown shorts, and black shoes. Curly was a pretty quiet kid. He was mostly seen in the background as a supporting character. However, when Curly was in the spotlight, we got to see who this character truly was. The first time we got a taste of Curly was in Season 1, Episode 19, titled False Alarm. This was also my favorite episode that featured Curly. In this episode, the kids at PS 118 are holding a mock trial in an effort to determine who pulled the fire alarm. It appears at first that Eugene was the one who did it, though he claims he is innocent. Arnold and his friends form a jury with the intent on finding the truth. Curly sits on the jury as well. While Arnold is giving his account of what happened, we see Curly become increasingly anxious. And then this happens. Curly's confession is so filled with anger, vengeance, and conviction. Eugene's seemingly innocent act of returning a pencil after using it enraged Curly to the point where he couldn't sleep nor eat. And sure, Eugene probably did use the pencil a little too much, but I don't think Eugene did it intentionally to make Curly angry. Instead of just telling Eugene how he felt, he took it out on him by framing him for an act that was against their school rules. I think this was the first time Curly behaved like this, judging from the faces of his classmates. While this incident shows what he was willing to do when he felt disrespected, it is far from the only time where we saw him seek revenge. Probably the most well-known episode that features Curly in the spotlight was titled Curly Snaps. In the Season 3 episode, we again see what happens when Curly feels that he had been wronged. The episode starts off with a happy Curly getting ready for his turn at being ball monitor. This job meant that he would be in charge of collecting all the balls from outside and bringing them inside during the week. Curly believed the ball monitor title carried a lot of respect, which he craved. However, when Mr. Simmons announced who the ball monitor would be, it wasn't Curly. Curly was so sure it was supposed to be his turn, but he was told otherwise. This enraged Curly, and he decided to take matters into his own hands. If he couldn't be in charge of the balls through the actions of his superiors, he'd take the power by force. In this episode, we saw how Curly didn't care how he was physically assaulting his classmates, teachers, and principal with balls. His focus was on how he had an opportunity that was taken from him and that he wanted others to feel the pain that he felt.
I'll tell you what the problem is. Injustice! Day in and day out. But the ultimate injustice is what happened today. Today I was denied my sacred right to be this week's ball monitor. And I was ready to accept that responsibility. But did I get it? No! And why? Because I was slapped down by the man.
Oh my word. I hope I'm not too late.
For weeks, I studied the proper ball monitor procedures and etiquette. I awaited my turn. I look forward to getting my shred of respect.
In the end, Mr. Simmons realizes that he indeed made a mistake. Soon afterwards, the situation calmed after Mr. Simmons had apologized. While at first glance, this episode may seem a lot like the episode False Alarm because they both feature a slighted Curly and his act of revenge. However, a closer examination proves otherwise. In the Season 1 episode, Curly's anger is directed at Eugene specifically for sharpening his pencil too short. Eugene's actions preoccupied Curly's mind and left him stirring with anger and vengeance against his friend. In contrast, in the episode Curly Snaps, his anger is initially not directed at Mr. Simmons. Mr. Simmons isn't even in the scene when Curly starts attacking his classmates. This time, Curly's anger and vengeance is directed to authority in general, or the man, as he calls him. He expresses how he felt disrespected by many incidents that have occurred, while his classmates disagree with his versions of what happened.
I opened the front door to PS 118, and everyone walked in past me, just assuming I was the doorman. Well, he was just standing there, so I went in. Then later in class, Harold answered the bonus question that I was about to answer. Harold stole the question from me! Another injustice!
No fair! He let me answer that question!
Curly, you let Harold answer that question.
And then Sid takes my place at the drinking fountain and is rewarded by the system by getting my job a ball monitor.
All these events together represented injustices that he believed he suffered by a system that was oppressing him day in and day out. This shows how Curly felt like he was normally not respected by his peers. This golden opportunity he almost had to become ball monitor represented a chance for him to finally feel like someone who mattered, someone who wasn't ignored, stepped on, cheated, or unappreciated. By being ball monitor, Curly was finally going to have an opportunity to be seen as someone who was providing value to his school. A respectable person, an important person. But where did this idea come from? Between the first season and the third season, what could have caused Curly to go from being a sensitive kid who acted out when his friends made him upset to a kid who locks himself in the principal's office and attacks the whole school with balls?
In fact, something has gone terribly, terribly wrong!
I'll say something has gone wrong. You come out right now, or you'll be facing some very unpleasant times ahead. I'm warning you.
Here's Curly.
The answer is Rhonda Wellington Lloyd.
Bingo! We'd be branded for life!
In the season 2 episode titled Rhonda's Glasses, Rhonda's new accessory causes her to become labeled as one of the geeks. This means she now has to hang out with the other geeks, which includes Curly. Throughout the episode, Curly doesn't seem to notice Rhonda. In fact, he doesn't speak to her at all. One time, when Eugene asks Curly for some tape to help fix Rhonda's glasses, Curly looks uninterested and bored. Later on in that episode, Curly tries to save space for him and his friends to play. Strangely, Curly just walks away after other kids ignore him and play over him, without any objection. However, one person who this just didn't sit right with was Rhonda. At this point, Rhonda had had enough of the mistreatment she experienced as a geek.
Everybody can hear you, Rhonda.
Good. I want them to hear me. We shouldn't have to sit at the worst table in the cafeteria either. And what's the deal with the back of the bus? Why should we have to get thrown around like a sack of potatoes? Why us? Why? Don't geeks have feelings too? If you tickle us, don't we laugh? If you prick us, don't we bleed?
She's right. It's always been this way, Rhonda. I don't think one kid like you is gonna change it.
Then you don't know, Eugene. If Rhonda Lloyd has to be a geek, then the rules about geeks are gonna change. Are you with me? Are we going to fight this injustice together?
She demanded that all the geeks rise up and end the injustice. Rhonda's experience as a geek made her see how social status led to varying levels of respect from other students. When she was cool, she was respected, and now as a geek, she was not. The feeling of being disrespected was so negative that she decided neither she nor anyone else should feel that way again. Her act of rebellion against the social norm was first met with hesitation among the geeks.
I don't know about that. Nobody really cares what we think, Rhonda.
Then it's about time, Eugene. It's about time you show the other kids that below that pencil neck of yours beats a brave heart.
However, her determination for equality eventually won over the geeks.
And you two, don't let anybody put you down. Be proud of who you are.
You're so brave, Rhonda. You're the queen of the geeks.
Queen of the geeks. Queen of the geeks. Queen of the geeks.
And everyone else as well.
I'm Rhonda Wellington Lloyd, and I don't have to move for you or anyone else. I demand my right to sit anywhere I want, anytime I want. And these other geeks, kids, they can sit anywhere they want.
Rhonda's right.
In this episode, I believe two important things happened in Curly's development. Number one, he starts to see himself as a victim of a system of oppression that he must overcome.
I'm Rhonda Wellington Lloyd.
Thaddeus, my name is Thaddeus. Thaddeus Curly Gammelthorpe to you, warts. Injustice!
And number two, he starts his infatuation with Rhonda, a strong-willed and determined girl who is respected by her peers and won't have it otherwise. After the season 2 episode Rhonda's Glasses, Curly's obsession with Rhonda is evident throughout the series. Curly's desire to have her affection is expressed in the form of inappropriate comments and harassment.
Ooh, you pretty princess. Your mink is so soft, so inviting.
Get away from me, you creep!
Tonight's our night, Rhonda. I can feel it in the air.
Listen,
You slimy piece of ick. I don't like you, so stop touching my coat with your grimy hands. I just want to be closer to you, Rhonda. I want to be your boyfriend. Boyfriend? I will never, ever have anything to do with you, Curly, ever.
And every time, Rhonda makes it clear that she just doesn't feel the same way. Rhonda's desperation to get Curly off her back is seen in the episode Deconstructing Arnold. In the episode, Rhonda makes a fake love letter addressed to Curly to make him think someone else liked him so that he would just leave her alone. Unfortunately, that backfired when Curly found out that Rhonda was the one who wrote the letter. This makes Curly's advances even more frequent, causing Rhonda to seek help from friends. In Season 5, we saw just how desperate Curly was to have Rhonda reciprocate his feelings. In that season's 18th episode, titled Curly's Girl, Curly finds Rhonda struggling to remove a stain from an expensive mink coat. Curly offers to clean up the stain at his family's dry cleaning business. In exchange, Curly suggests she pretends to be his girlfriend for a period of time. Rhonda reluctantly agrees.
I have a special present for you that I want you to wear. There's no way I'm wearing that shirt. I can't believe I'm wearing this shirt.
I guess it's official now. They've never seen Curly happy.
Once the end of the agreement came, Rhonda dumps Curly, publicly humiliating him. Suddenly, everyone turns against Rhonda. The social rejection she faces is too much for her to handle, so she puts on a show to win back her status. Unfortunately, Curly takes it too far. He then overhears Rhonda saying how she has to go through with this just to become popular again. This time, Curly's the one who publicly dumps her to help her gain her popularity back.
Why, hello, my little buttercup. I saved you a seat. Forget it, babe. It's over. I did some thinking, see? And it turns out you're a lousy girlfriend, Harden. You heard me, girly. And that's why I've decided to dump you. That's right, princess. Girly's giving you the old heave-ho, the boot, the kick to the proverbial curb. From this moment on, you and me are history.
Willikers, that feller sure got a heart of stone.
This is the first time that we've seen Curly do something where he put someone else's needs above his own. For once, it wasn't all about Curly and how he felt. It was about Rhonda and what she wanted. Curly's selfless act showed how even though he was bizarre, violent, and annoying,
What happened to his eyes? Curly said they turned into fireballs.
And where's his second head? You said he grew another head, Curly. Suckers.
Let's get him!
Stop it, boys and girls. Stop this fighting right now.
he was able to show compassion. Instead of seeing Rhonda's betrayal of his affection as an act of disrespect, it appears Curly finally just gave up.
Alright, alright, alright. Okay, okay, okay.
But then, at the end of the episode, Rhonda's sensitive side couldn't leave Curly heartbroken. Unfortunately for Rhonda, her innocent comment seemed to ignite Curly's hope for a legitimate relationship with her.
Well, thank you, Curly. That was very nice of you. I guess you acting like a total freak sometimes is just your way of showing me how much you care. And the truth is, I think you're an okay guy. Thanks. So how about giving me a lock of your hair to keep under my pillow? Ah! That is unbelievably gross! Is it? Or does it thrill you?
While Curly's main features were his strange and unhinged behavior, there was more to him than that. For example, Curly was an impressive actor.
Tybalt, Mercutio, the prince hath expressly forbid this banding in Verona streets.
Wonderful, Curly! You'll make a terrific Mercutio.
He was also a ballet dancer.
Down, set, hut, hut, ha!
Curly's erratic, vindictive, and at times random actions has led to speculation that Curly suffers from a psychological disorder.
with tiger stripes and go free all the animals at the zoo! Fine, Curly. We'll meet you there in an hour. Hurry! Poor twisted little freak. Free the animals!
Well, I can't really speak much about that, but what I do think is that he did suffer from delusions because of his obsession with Rhonda. I would have liked to see Curly in therapy because I think it could have helped him. In fact, he almost had that chance. However, in the season 5 episode Helga on the Couch, the therapist Miss Bliss spends so much time focusing on Helga that she totally misses Curly. I find it strange how Mr. Simmons and Mr. Warts didn't recommend Curly to see Miss Bliss. Did they forget the time when Curly held them hostage? Doesn't that warrant a psychological assessment? Well, that brings us to the end of my Hey Arnold character analysis of Thaddeus Gammelthorpe, aka
I can't believe you'd pull such a dirty trick.
I can't believe how nice you look in that dress.
What do you think of Curly? Do you think Curly snapped because he was inspired by Rhonda, or do you think he was already headed that way by himself? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me at dialupdigest to find memes all about the 90s and early 2000s. Until next time, my friends, dialing out.